All right, today we're going to dive into a short play called The Exit Interview, and it really gets to the heart of a fiery debate that's happening in school districts everywhere. This clash between modern, data-driven solutions and decades of hard-won human experience. It all comes to a head in the tense moments right before a single crucial vote.
The story opens with this line, and it just hits you, right? 40 years for this circus. That's David Adams, a veteran teacher. You can just feel the exhaustion in those words. It's the sound of a man who's reached his breaking point. So, what exactly is this circus he's talking about?
Well, the circus is unfolding at Jefferson Elementary. The school board is just moments away from voting on whether to shut its doors for good. Outside, you've got protesters, the community is in an uproar, and inside, the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. At the center of all this, you've got three main players. First, there's David, the old school teacher who's seen it all and is tired of the endless cycle of reforms. Then you have Jake, the young gun, the data whiz, who's convinced he can solve everything with the right algorithm. And caught right in the crossfire is Principal Thompson, the guy who's just trying to hold it all together. And really, the dynamic between David and Jake sets up the core conflict of the whole story. It is a classic clash of philosophies, a collision of generations. It's cold, hard numbers on one side versus the kind of wisdom you can't measure on the other. And you can see there are two worlds laid out right here. For Jake, it's all about #SaveJefferson, social media campaigns, analytics, getting kids ready for the modern economy. But for David, it's a different story. He feels like the people in charge stopped listening to teachers a long time ago. And he argues that the real goal of education isn't just about a job, it's about shaping good human beings. And David just nails his frustration with this line. He looks at Jake's approach and sees this dangerously simple belief. The idea that you can solve messy, complicated human problems with a clean spreadsheet, and he is not buying it for a second.
Now, to be fair to Jake, his heart is absolutely in the right place. He's not the villain here. He genuinely believes that these modern tools are the answer. I mean, he's got the hashtag trending, he's got presentations packed with data. He is convinced he can innovate his way out of this whole crisis.
And this is the absolute core of David's argument. In this moment of pure, raw passion, he slams his hand on a counter and shouts this. He's arguing that things like art and shop class, the programs they cut, weren't just outdated fluff. No, they were essential. They taught kids how to be human.
So while David and Jake are locked in this philosophical war, we have to remember Principal Eddie Thompson. He's the one living the harsh reality of it all. He's the man in the middle, and he's the one who's got to answer to everybody.
And the pressure on this guy is just immense. The superintendent is breathing down his neck, demanding he publicly support the school's closure. But his own 8-year-old daughter, Maya, goes to Jefferson, and he looked her in the eyes and promised he would save her school. He is completely trapped between his career and his family.
So, just when you think this is a story about educational philosophy, the whole thing takes a sharp, cynical turn. Because it turns out, this entire public debate, it's a complete sham. All the numbers, all the data, the community town halls, none of it ever mattered. The decision to close Jefferson Elementary was never actually about budgets or test scores or what's best for the kids.
And there it is. The real reason. The school just happens to sit on a very valuable piece of land, and some developers are ready to build luxury condos. So this whole time, this fight was never about education. It was about a land deal.
And they've already got a name for it, Jefferson Heights. The irony is just brutal.
But here's the real kicker. Principal Thompson has the proof. He's sitting on a secret folder full of emails and memos that show the deal with the developer was done long before any public hearings were even scheduled. They even timed the vote to happen during the playoffs, hoping fewer people would show up to protest. It's just so cynical. This changes everything. The abstract debate is over. Now, Principal Thompson has a very real, very personal, and potentially career-ending choice to make. Does he stay silent and protect himself, or does he blow the whistle on the whole thing?
And the personal stakes for him could not be higher. He's already in a tough spot financially. Underwater on his mortgage, cars on its last legs. He knows, without a doubt, that telling the truth will almost certainly get him fired. Then right in that critical moment of decision, his phone buzzes. It's a text from his daughter, Maya. It's a simple message, but it just cuts through all the politics, all the fear. I believe in you.
And that's all it takes. The superintendent calls, demanding his public statement of support. And in one powerful, silent act of defiance, Eddie just drops the ringing phone into the trash can. Seeing this, David, who is literally about to retire, grabs his resignation letter and rips it in half. He's back in the fight.
But this act of courage, it does more than just affect the school's fate. The real lesson here comes from watching how this raw, human drama completely changes the perspective of Jake, the young idealist.
David shares one last piece of wisdom with Jake. He explains that you don't stay in a job like teaching for the obvious victories. You stay for the potential, for the one kid you might be able to save, even if you never get to know for sure that you did.
And you can just see it click for Jake. He's totally overwhelmed. He turns off his phone, finally silencing that constant stream of data and notifications. He takes out his Teach for America badge and pins it back on his shirt, but this time he has a completely new understanding of what that mission really means. And that leaves us with the big question at the heart of the play. In a world so obsessed with metrics and efficiency, how do we measure what truly matters? Is a school's success found in test scores and budget lines? Or is it found in the things you can't quantify, in the impact you have on another human being's life? It's a question that goes far beyond the walls of Jefferson Elementary.